Alright, a show and tell of the Marks of Distinction Rubber Stamp Company. This is a company that was around. I don't know when they started and when they disappeared, but I looked online and I don't see them around. There is a Marks of Distinction website, but it looked like it was a tattoo parlor. But this is a company that was based out of Illinois, and I used to see them at the Rubber Stamp convention that happened in Carson, California. I don't remember seeing him at the other conventions that I used to attend in California, at least. He might have been attending a lot of those shows in the Midwest and whatnot. But I really liked their kind of curated collection. I don't know how much of their catalog was original work, but it was a lot of really nicely curated artwork from, 18th and 19th century engravings, and you used to see a lot of that type of artwork in a lot of different companies' selection back in the day. Looks like some of these are probably original works, and I'm guessing the initials for all of these codes are probably credited to the artist that created them. But I was more into a lot of the different types of companies, and a lot of them were this way, that utilize that kind of copyright-free type of artwork. They're old type engravings, really super detailed types of pieces. And with rubber stamping, what we're doing essentially is rubber stamps are a printing mechanism, so when we utilize them in our own artwork, we're essentially kind of inheriting the drawing abilities of the artist that created them. So all of those old engravings that were done as illustrations for catalogs and, books, whatever printed form, newspapers and whatnot, those were master engravers with, they probably, went through apprenticeships to learn how to do those types of that type of artwork back in the day. This is all pre-photography and halftones and that style of printing. So they used to have to, if they wanted to come up with some sort of illustration, they would have to draw it in that engraved style. So really amazing pieces here, and I really like their selection of it. I don't have a lot of catalogs from back in the day, but I think when I asked him for a catalog, I don't know, I was looking around at some artwork online, and this is right around the time when I came up with my website, maybe a few years later, and I would kind of got the feeling of how to do code. I didn't know how to do any of that. A friend of mine was doing it for me. But I got in touch with him, and I said, hey, why don't you guys have a website? And I said, well, I don't know, maybe I can help you out with it, just because I loved his stuff. I wasn't going to charge him anything for it, but I think that's when he sent me out this catalog right here. And I don't know, I think I asked them some stuff, or I might have came up with some stuff. I'm not really quite sure. I don't know if I got around to scanning things. I just don't remember. Look at that great camera there. But anyways, I got their catalog, and I don't know, and yeah, I just really love this stuff. Not everything, but but a lot of it. Some other companies that I liked a lot that are no longer around were well, 100 Proof Press is around. I think Leavenworth Jackson is, but places like Gumbo Graphics, Stamp Good Stamps, Stamp Goods, that was the name of the company. Yeah, there was a lot of, I don't know, there was a lot of companies that utilized, these types of old engravings like this. I mean, that is a beautiful piece right there. I don't know how you utilize something like that. It's just its own thing. You stamp it out and you would color it in or whatnot, in terms of having all that kind of surrounding area. But, these old engravings of these trees and things like that, that would work great with Stampscapes. Stuff that I think really incorporates well are the ones that have a lot of tight detail and a lot of volume in them. It's a little bit harder to incorporate kind of linear drawings like this, that don't have a lot of tone in them. It's just they don't match up quite as well, but they could, if you want that image to kind of stand out, kind of more as a, kind of a different style here. But this is a really extensive catalog right here. And my gosh, it just must have cost a fortune to have this printed up and spiral bound like this when they were doing this here. But just some really great stuff. But I'll kind of get around. I know I'm just kind of flipping through. This is just a quick flip through. If I kind of spent time on every one of these pages, it would last for, or it would take forever. But all these little characters like this, I used to like. I have my own collection of stamps, and I wish I had more from these companies that used to have them. Like this little wizard here, something like that. Those would make really great subject matter for, some scenery kind of built around them. Not really a Greco-Roman thing. This is be more Renaissance things, but you can utilize things like this, or like these knights and whatnot. There's a lot of fans of these types of images. I mean, these fairies right here, I believe, are copyright free because I seem to recall seeing these in other magazines, maybe, or catalogs. I think those specific characters. But yeah, those types of things would be really fun in a scene. It changes the kind of the character, depending on what type of figures you would put in there. So if it's something kind of more whimsical, it takes that scene out of a certain kind of emotional feel and puts it into another one. And I like manipulating the scenes that way. You put little, if I put a deer or something like, or an elk in a scene, that would look a lot different than, these little mice, with little hats like that or something like that walking around. It kind of takes it into the spirit of kind of more of an animation type of thing, like a Disney movie or something like that, or a cartoon. And that's really kind of fun to kind of manipulate your genres just with the use of a certain type of image in it. Okay. Let's see here. They had all kinds of different things. Transportation right here. That ship right there, that little sailboat would be a great one to utilize in a scene. Trains. I used to have some train stamps. Sometimes I gave stamps away to customers that might have really liked a scene that I used something in, and I don't know. I didn't know, certain companies weren't going to be around any longer. I still would have probably given it to, them, but I would just bought another one for myself. But yeah, look at these little figurines like this romance right here, I don't know why they didn't kind of utilize their whole page. I'm guessing that they had a smaller catalog, maybe. This one's the one that they used to send out to stores for their wholesale purchasing, probably, the spiral binding like that. Silhouettes like that. I haven't even gotten to my favorite stuff. Like I said, I used to see them at the Carson convention that's called the Original Rubber Stamp Convention. That's held in Carson, California, which is in Los Angeles. And the stuff, can you imagine this stamp right here? Okay, now, I don't know if they operated a lot in kind of the unmounted era. I mean, this is huge right here. This is an enormous stamp, okay? And when people... At this time, when they were in operation, I don't know if they ever went the unmounted route, but this would make an enormous rubber stamp. And their stamps, I'll get to this in a bit, but they used a 1-inch wood mount. So we're talking about a just gigantic piece right here. And that would require pretty much its own plate. You couldn't even fit two of these figures, I don't think, on one plate, so... I mean, that would cost a fortune to produce and to purchase right there. But he had some just gigantic stamps. This one's huge right here, too, this Victorian border. Enormous. There must have been just a fortune going into magnesium plates. I mean, and just for the catalog's sake, look at this gigantic snake right here taking up an entire page of a catalog. So, but that's what I really love. You know, that there was just some really interesting types of things going on in rubber stamping at the time. Look at these glasses right here. So you would stamp this pretty much on a full page, but they probably made it so enormous because you can put stuff into the lenses here as maybe a reflection type of thing. So, I don't know, you know. It's kind of cool. It seems like it would be like a really niche, you know, type of application for some dedicated types of imagery. So, this atom right here, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess this stuff must have been going really well. This would be really fantastic right there. That kind of silhouette against a nighttime sky, you know? You'd use all kinds of, Milky Ways and nebulas. I don't know, all kinds of galaxies in the background or something like that. Or just a great sunset. But what a great image right there. That one's not an old engraving as far as I know. It doesn't look like it, but okay, let's see here. Let me try to expedite this. There's a lot of different things in here, but I don't know. Does anyone remember marks of distinction? If you remember marks of distinction, let me see. The dates on this one are like 1993. So I'm pretty sure they were around in the 2000s, but I don't know. This would be a great pine bow right here, and those are just little kind of elfy types of things again. I recognize some of the images in here from copyright-free types of usages in other lines as well. These are all borders right here. Just tons of borders. Morning Glory. Some, I don't know, some of these are original things, and I can tell someone's a really good artist. Just from the use of their forms and the use of the stippling and textures. Okay, so the stuff that I really liked from Marks of Distinction were their angels, okay? So, let's see. I think I have both of these right here. Angel flies right, angel flies left. But look at this piece right here. This is an enormous piece of wood right here. It's a 1-inch thick one, okay? And they had their clear label placed in here. And then this, let me see if I can catch that. Can you see that angel where there's a little bit of a kind of this outline in there? That sticker was laid down in here. Yeah, it's like this. Okay? On the wood. This one was placed on the wood right here. And then this adhesive mylar was wrapped over and around this whole thing like that. Okay? To seal in both the name of the company, the indexing, and to just seal it off like that. The only other company I knew that did something like that, I think, I'm not really quite sure, but I don't know if mostly Animals did that, or if it was just that they used the 1-inch block as well. And then, on top of that, I mean, this is some beautiful crafted, you know, trimmed piece right here. This is a scroll saw that they used on this one right here, I can tell. I'm not sure what the type of rubber was. Sometimes, when I've made impressions with this, I haven't been a fan of this particular brand of rubber. It might be 100% rubber. I'm not sure, but sometimes I wasn't able to get as crisp of an impression as I wanted to. But I still love it, and I get it. You know, it's as good as it gets. But this is a tough engraving because of all that super fine detail in there, but it does read pretty well in the impressions. But I just love this as just in terms of as a crafted form. I think this is a piece of art in itself. I would never pull this rubber off of the stuff that I have wood mounted. But look at that piece right there. Oh my gosh. Is like this size. All right, now he was in Illinois. All right, and he came out with a pretty full inventory to Carson. So, I mean, this thing, this weighs over 1 pound. Just this one stamp, I'm sure. It's probably a pound and a half. And these days, if he was carrying all this stuff out and had gigantic inventory these days, going out to a convention across the country, well, halfway across, you know what I mean? It would have been so expensive to do that. But look at this image right here. It's just so beautiful in terms of all that tight detail and stuff like that. So like I said, whenever you utilize these as a printing mechanism in your own artwork, you are inheriting the abilities of the artist that created it. And that's why I really love using these master engravers, pieces like that. And, their abilities were just somewhere beyond. It's something that I've always aspired to in terms of, and I've tried to learn off of the texturizing and, the gradations and the changes of value and form and descriptive form in there. You want all of that possible in your designs. And, I don't know, I've just tried to create a lot of those designs to match with the I don't know, the capabilities of these master engravers that used to do that. So, I don't know, tried to live up to kind of that tradition of, I don't know, craftsmanship, from those old engravers there. But I don't know. That was another beautiful stamp right there. There were some things that I never got, but and then they were gone. But it would have been really cool to have a lot of these other types of images like this. I love doing those. Can you imagine? I've been doing these things with light beams and rays, right? So things like this would be so dramatic, God ascends mightily, right here. And just to have, those light beams coming down like that, I think that would have been dramatic. I've done that before with these images, but I need to do something more recent because I think I'm kind of getting the feel of those rays. I think I have this image right here, but I think it's by a different company. But I really love this Pegasus and Rider image right here. This one looks like a bigger version than I have. But love these angels and whatnot. Here's this one right here. Okay. Just, this thing is so heavy. It's amazing. But just really fun stuff. I knew a company, too, that he compiled a bunch of different angels from other companies. I think I have this one right here, that angel blows the horn. And he just had a catalog of only angels by other companies. And that was pretty cool. Just enormous, enormous frames. This one's kind of a separate one, but I guess they just kind of put it on there to save a little space right there. But mermaids, a lot of people are into mermaids. Large coral right here. Those things would have gone well with the scene that I just did. Yeah, but, those copyright-free illustration books like that. Oh, suns like this. I used to love suns. I love all things celestial, and putting that into my, skies and whatnot. Anytime you put give kind of some kind of personality or something to an inanimate object, it immediately changes the spirit of your piece, no matter how serious it might look. Turns it into, kind of gives it that whimsical element, which it's just really fun to apply that type of thing. And that's a lot of the types of things that were going on, in the, whatever, the 80s, 90s, early 2000s in terms of stamps. It was just a ton of these engravings like that. Can you imagine getting this right here? I don't know how people were utilizing that, but just to have designs that size right there. I mean, this is, this is a half page right here. This is an 8.5 by 11, so we're talking some enormous stamps. I don't know, maybe he had the, just in terms of kind of an overall type of thing, probably the largest stamps on the market after looking through this magazine right here. I have one stamp that's bigger than any of these, but that's, was really specific to how I was using it. But not a ton of things like this one did. So anyways, I'm doing these little, I don't know, show and tell things. I've always thought it would be kind of cool to have something akin to the, the history of rubber stamping and whatnot. And no one else seems to be doing it. And I thought I would, I don't know, showcase some of these catalogs from the days of old. And if you were familiar with this company or some of these other companies that I might pull out a catalog for, mention it down in the comments section. Do you have any of these stamps right here? And do you have, them on blocks still like this? Everyone's kind of pulling off their rubber and whatnot. This one would be really hard. This is on the gray foam right here, so I think it would be difficult to get this off of here, off of the cushion, and then much less from the cushion to wood. I guess you just need the rubber removed from the cushion right there. Oop, this one has a little bit of a bubble in it right here, but it's such a large stamp. If he kind of tossed it for that little tiny bubble on the side, that would be a lot of rubber to waste right there. But anyways, just a really fantastic company. I think the owner's name was Kiran or something like that. But if you're out there, I used to love your stuff and whatnot, and we miss you from the industry and all that, and your line. But really great stuff. Enjoyed seeing you at the Carson convention back in the day. And getting out periodically or once, a convention and running over to some of these different companies that I really liked and grabbing a couple, stamps to, for purchase and kind of getting back over to my booth. But just fun stuff. Or I'd go to their booths before the show opened or something like that and, buy some stamps and whatnot. I might have bought a couple of these out in Viva Las Vegas stamps in Las Vegas. He had a bunch of this stuff too, I think. But anyways, love that stuff. Love those gigantic pieces of wood. Completely opposite of how most people are using stamps these days. But from a nostalgic kind of point of view, and also it's just really a beautiful thing. Working with wood like this. And would I buy it these days if it was on, offered in wood or unmounted? Well, I'd probably get the unmounted, but I'm glad I have the wood, though. All right, so anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments on it, leave it down in the comment section below.